fokus kita hari ni, kita nak sembang pasal OS untuk PC gaming handheld lah kan. Macam kalau korang ingat dalam video sebelum ni, kita orang ada letakkan link dekat bawah. Kita bincang pasal handheld yang Sony PlayStation dan Microsoft nak buat. Dan masa dalam video tu, Adam ada cadangkan satu macam plan yang menarik lah untuk Microsoft kan. Korang boleh tengok video, boleh Adam explain dekat video sebelum ni. Tapi basically, secara ringkas ni apa yang Adam kata, Microsoft dan Xbox kena follow apa yang Google buat dengan Android dia. Dia just develop the software dan dia bagi software tu untuk kepada third party company lah kan. So itu yang Adam suggestkan untuk Microsoft buat, kira macam OS dia sendiri untuk Game Pass tu. Kita biar Microsoft fokus kat Game Pass tu, tak payah risau sangat pasal hardware, biar hardware ni company-company yang lain yang buat. So apparently apa yang Adam cadangkan ni actually Valve dah buat pun dengan SteamOS dia lah. So maksud dia, belum ni kita tahu SteamOS ni dia keluar dekat Steam Deck saja kan. Dan masa Steam Deck keluar mula-mula dulu, brand-brand lain terpaksa guna Windows untuk dia lawan Steam Deck tu. Tapi sekarang ni nampaknya direction Valve dah agak bertukar sikit, dan dia nampaknya dia akan bagi SteamOS ni dekat brand-brand third party juga, dan antaranya adalah Legion Go ni. Dan aku terjumpa satu video ni daripada YouTube Dave 2D, dan dia membincangkan pasal perbandingan lah Legion Go S dengan Legion Go S ada dua version, satu yang guna Microsoft dan satu lagi guna SteamOS. So menarik lah untuk kita tengok apa yang video ni nampak perbezaan antara dua OS ni. Jom kita tengok dia punya nama title video tu pun ada agak menarik lah. Dia kata Windows was the problem all along.
Legion Go S. And it was received very poorly. It was an expensive device, battery life wasn't great, performance was pretty mid. It just wasn't a good device compared to the competition. But we knew that there was a second version of this product coming out that was built with a direct partnership with Valve. And this wasn't like some Bazite or community mod, it was an official partnership with Valve to create this. The first handheld running SteamOS out of the box that wasn't made by Valve. Now compared to the original Legion Go S, it's got the same hardware.
So ini dua version lah aku cakap tadi tu lah. Yang atas ni dia guna Windows dan warna putih. Dan bawah ni pula dia guna SteamOS lah, warna hitam. Dia agak sama, kalau sekali pandang nampak sama macam Steam Deck lah kan.
But
macam kau tengok lah, harga dia tadi tu nampak jauh beza tu. Kalau guna Windows, sebab Windows ni dengan license apa semua kan, dia agak mahal, $730 plus. Dan Legion Go S yang guna
banyak beza tu,
$599 kan. Tu kalau convert ke ringgit Malaysia tu buat jauh tu.
Compared to the original Legion Go S, it's got the same hardware, but it's just an operating system difference. And this made such a massive impact on how good this product is. This is so much better than the Windows version. The Windows version had a white outer shell, but the SteamOS version comes in this dark purple colorway. It's also plastic, but the hardware on the inside is exactly the same. And because of that, this is the first time we've had a device, because of the identical hardware, you could compare an official Windows gaming handheld with an official SteamOS gaming handheld. So I'm going to address performance first. On the Legion Go S, games running on SteamOS are just better performing than the same games running on Windows 11 by like 5 to 10, sometimes even 15%. It's not every game that I tested, but most of them. And the gains come to 10.
Kalau tengok balik, banyak ni kira apa, dia punya frame rate lah kan. Cyberpunk banyak, dah hampir 59, Idaverse dah 470. So semua game-game yang dia try ni, SteamOS ni better performance lah.
Sometimes even 15%. It's not every game that I tested, but most of them. And the gains come from the reduced overhead that Linux has compared to Windows 11. And like the Steam Deck, the games here are being run through Proton, a compatibility layer, but performance is generally excellent across Steam titles. Now, if you compare the performance of this device, the Legion Go S, with the Steam Deck, so this is the Steam Deck OLED, you can get better performance on the Legion Go S, but it does require more wattage to do it. The Legion Go S tops out at 33 to 40 watts, depending if you're plugged in. The Steam Deck only goes up to 15 watts. I did also test the higher tier version of the Legion Go S. This has the Z1 Extreme chip, so it's a little bit faster, but it is more expensive. For the games that I was testing, I feel like the sweet spot's in that 15 to 25 watt range, depending on the game. I think the Steam Deck's chip, though, is still the best option when it comes to running undemanding 2D or like indie titles, because this chip can run at really low wattages for extending battery life if it's something you're looking for. Now, about the battery, the Legion Go S has a 55 watt hour battery, and the battery life on the Windows version of it was awful. Like, it was really bad. And the fans would sometimes kick in when you're doing nothing. It was awful.
Oh, ni Legion Go S dengan Windows, dia compare dengan Steam Deck. Okay.
Like, it was really bad. And the fans would sometimes kick in when you're doing nothing.
Tak boleh betul lah.
Kuat gila
The
makan bateri.
SteamOS versions, even though it's got the same battery size, the battery life was way longer, and it's because Linux doesn't
Okay, ni lagi menarik. Dia compare 3 sekali. Okay, Steam Deck still bateri lagi kuat lah. Tapi kalau compare Legion Go tu,
Sebab CPU dia rendah.
kalau compare Legion Go dengan Legion Go tu, Windows memang tak tahan lama lah.
have all the crazy background tasks and telemetry
Jauh
that
kan.
Windows
Double.
does. The other thing, SteamOS brings excellent sleep and suspend functionality to this device. And this is where the partnership with Valve really shines because it runs perfectly.
Aku
Better
rasa
than
ni
it did on
paling
Bazzlight.
best lah.
It basically runs as good and as reliably as the Steam Deck, which is unheard of. Like, if you think about Windows devices, and it's not
Better
just
stack,
this
yeah.
product here, but it's
Betul.
basically
Betul-betul
Windows
stack.
laptops and anything that needs power management running Windows. It struggles with it. You put one of these devices to sleep or you suspend it and you think it's slept because the light's off, but the power just drains sometimes and you can't reliably suspend in the middle of games on Windows devices. But on SteamOS, the sleep and it just works perfectly. You put it to sleep and it reliably goes to sleep, and overnight it'll drain like 1 or 2%, and then if you want to, days later you can start your system back up in the middle of a game and just resume playing. It's the way it should be. This works exactly the way it should and exactly like the way the Steam Deck does. And it is crazy to me that, like, if you think about it, something so fundamental as sleep, wake, and resuming games, like, is something that Windows just can't do reliably, and it is so frustrating. And this ties into the whole user experience. Like, on SteamOS, this is a very intuitive and snappy and responsive operating system. There's no pop-ups, there's no Microsoft bloat, there's just nothing that takes away from the user experience. You can just pick it up and play. Even a 6-year-old child can do it. But on Windows handhelds, you gotta boot into Windows, which is a mouse-focused operating system, first of all, and then it has to load up a launcher, or sometimes two, because you gotta load the Lenovo launcher, then also has to load up Steam or other game launchers, and then there's updates for all this stuff, in addition to individual driver updates. So this is a tech channel, and a lot of you guys are comfortable with this stuff because a lot of us use Windows, but for the vast majority of the world, on a gaming console, this is just very difficult to go through. And the estimated sales figures reflect that. The Steam Deck with SteamOS just crushes the Windows-based handhelds.
Basically, they
That's
compete.
despite these Windows devices having better
Tapi
screens,
Linux
better
pun
performance, and
Steam
better
pun
batteries,
Linux.
and
So,
the
compete
ability to
juga.
play any kind of game that runs on Windows. Like, keep in mind, the SteamOS operating systems, unless you tweak it, can only run Steam games. But despite the advantages of the Windows systems, the numbers don't lie. People want a console-like experience. They want to pick up a device and just play with as little friction as possible. Windows handhelds have a lot of friction. Now, the other thing is cost. Because Windows devices have to have a Windows license, that already increases the cost by like $50 at minimum. So SteamOS devices are just inherently cheaper. The Steam Deck OLED comes in at $550 right now. The base model of the Legion Go S, this was slated to launch at $550 earlier this year, but it looks like it's going to actually come out at $599. So it's a $50 premium over what...
Dia put on sleep pun bateri jalan kan. So macam it's not optimized lah. Nampaknya Valve ahead lah on this war.
Kalau Microsoft nak buat tu, dia kena catch up lah. Kena cepat sikit lah dia catch up kan. Kalau dia nak fokuskan Game Pass punya tu kan.
Valve dah ada dengan Legion kan. Aku okay macam ni, macam ni kata, dia bukan Steam Deck version 2 ataupun 2.0 kan. Tapi dia kata macam siapa yang nak teringin beli Steam Deck tapi macam nak yang lagi baru, boleh beli Legion Go walaupun bukan Steam Deck, tapi sebab dia official support dah kan. So macam not bad. FPS main Cyberpunk 60 okay tu. Okay tu.
Konsol pun tak boleh dapat macam tu
tahu bang? Kau pakai konsol antara kita orang.
Pakai konsol, pakai ekonomi
They had originally planned, possibly because of tariffs, You do get slightly better performance at the top end, but the Steam Deck is better at lower wattages. But the screen on the Legion Go S is significantly better to me. This is a bigger screen, it's higher res, it's faster refresh rate, it's variable refresh rate, so games just look ultra smooth. It's not an OLED panel, it's an LCD, but it's a kick-ass panel. I think a lot of people would prefer just the size and characteristics of this panel over the Steam Deck OLED. The touchpad on the Legion Go S isn't as good as the one on the Steam Deck. This one's so small in comparison, but the overall ergonomics of the Legion Go S are fantastic. I actually really like the way this thing feels. And there's also cases available for this device, like there's the Kill Switch from D-Brand already. I think it's just going to be a reasonably well-selling device. Now, there were a couple of thoughts that popped into my mind while I was checking out this SteamOS hardware. The first is like, for Valve, if they're willing to put in the resources and development time to make this product, like to make a custom-tuned version of SteamOS for a specific hardware vendor, and keep in mind they did a really good job at it. If they're willing to do this, why would they stay in the hardware game for that much longer? Like, doesn't it make more sense for Valve to just be like, we'll let the hardware guys handle hardware and we'll just do the software stuff? Because that's where the profit margins are, right? You get 30% cut on everything. That's why these things exist, to sell games. So I think Valve wants to make more hardware, but at the same time, I'm like, I could see them leaving sooner than later. I could see them just exiting that whole hardware thing. Okay, the other thing is, when I was testing this stuff out, I thought, how did we get to the stage where Microsoft allowed this to even happen? Like, we've had handheld gaming PCs for a decade. Microsoft's had 10 years to make handheld gaming on Windows better, and it just hasn't changed very much. I don't feel like Microsoft can keep ignoring this. This is just, all it was a piece of software, and it's so much better. It makes this product so much better the moment you remove Windows. So they got to do something about this. Okay, there you have it. SteamOS is awesome, and I think it fundamentally changes this product genre.
Aku sebagai seorang yang kerja buat Linux kan, yang guna Linux mainly. Aku rasa seronok lah. Aku rasa seronok sebab satu ketika dulu Linux macam sangat niche. Macam orang nak guna pun macam betul-betul orang yang betul-betul tech geek lah kan akan cuba install kan. Tapi sekarang macam aku tengok bila dalam community Steam Deck kan, orang dah berani nak install Linux kan, macam tak adalah susah mana kan. So mungkin satu hari nanti kita akan tengok lah makin ramai install Linux ataupun SteamOS dekat desktop lah. Aku yakin lah someday it will happen lah.
Ya, aku tertarik kalau macam katakan bila SteamOS ni dah lebih popular dan dia Linux based kan. So macam game-game publisher yang lain yang ada launcher dia sendiri. So aku rasa sekarang ni aku tak rasa kebanyakan game launcher tu boleh install dekat Linux. Ke aku salah? Boleh ke macam contoh Riot Games punya launcher macam Valorant, macam League of Legends, boleh main ke kat Linux?
Tu tak pasti ya.
Macam contoh satu lagi game-game apa lagi launcher lain macam Activision Battle.net kan. Macam EA dia boleh lah kan, sebab kalau dia beli dekat Steam dan dia boleh main. Tapi launcher yang memang dia berdiri di atas kaki sendiri kan, memang dia
launcher ni just interface bang. Dia bukan masalah launcher kalau tak boleh main tu, masalah anti-cheat.
So sekarang anti-cheat tu atas usaha siapa untuk kalau dia nak boleh main
developer
lah kan. So maksud dia Riot kena usahakan supaya anti-cheat dia tu boleh main dekat Linux.
Untuk Linux.
Itulah point aku. Maksud dia kalau dah lebih ramai, kalau dah lebih macam market player yang main kat SteamOS tu dah makin membesar, so Riot pun dan publisher third party lain kena fikir jugalah macam mana diorang nak boleh bagi game diorang main dekat SteamOS supaya lebih ramai boleh access game diorang lah kan. Tapi
aku rasa tak jauh kot, sebab Valorant dah announce kan untuk Android kan.
Android dah, kat konsol pun dah.
Android macam tu kan, dekat Android. Android is in a way is a version of Linux juga lah. So tak terkejut lah kalau macam diorang dah memang on the way ataupun macam just kena tune in development. PlayStation coming soon also.
PlayStation dia dah keluar dah, tapi dia macam PlayStation ni kan biasa ada region lock apa semua kan. Kalau dekat stok Asia dia tak launch lagi. Tapi kalau nak main, orang Asia nak main kena guna akaun US ke Europe macam tu lah. Dia tak
Dah ada lah maknanya.
Dah ada lah. Konsol tu dah ada, memang dah ada. Mobile tu coming soon tak silap aku. Tapi konsol dah launch
Tapi
lah.
kalau ikut macam tu lah, I don't know lah. Okay, PlayStation aku tak pasti anti-cheat macam mana. Tapi sebab PlayStation 5 setahu aku dia pakai free BSD. Free BSD pun another version of Unix/Linux lah. So sebenarnya aku rasa dah memang boleh nak.
Itulah tu.
Saya rasa dah boleh. Tapi anti-cheat Valorant lah contohnya kan. Dia kepada rootkit. So dia sebenarnya macam nak kata hard-coded bukan. Dia macam run in the background yang agak isu anti-cheat untuk Valorant ni kontroversi kat sebenarnya. Sebab dia macam kalau hacker berjaya access Valorant punya anti-cheat tu, dia terus dapat control PC kau. Macam tu. It's a long story, another something else. Tapi itulah, aku tak sure whether satu lagi sebab whether Valve nak benarkan anti-cheat yang macam tu running dekat hardware dorang. Sebab it's a security issue kat lah in a way kan. Lagi-lagi bukan Valorant, apa nama? Riot, yang pegang saham Riot tu Tencent kan. So macam China ada macam
Tencent ni kan, kira in a way Riot sekarang Tencent punya lah kan.
Tencent punya, yes. So it's a security issue lah. Sebab there is no such thing lah, a perfect anti-cheat kan.
Completely lose gamers. It's no secret that people are getting fed up with Windows nonsense and unreliability, but most people don't switch because everything's compatible with Windows. But Valve has been working to fix that for gamers with their SteamOS, the operating system.
So betul lah, salah satu benda yang menarik orang untuk macam stay dengan Windows tu sebab lah semua benda boleh buat kat Windows kan. Macam senang lah nak install apa game Windows boleh buat kan.
That's running on the Steam Deck. And they just announced that before the end of the first half of this year, they'll be launching the OS for other devices, not just their handheld. This means there will finally be a simple, viable Linux alternative for gamers. In Microsoft's response, they'll try to fix Windows, and for handhelds, they'll create some Frankenstein Xbox Windows hybrid to make things better. But with how much SteamOS has accomplished in the last 2 years, it's hard not to see the writing on the wall for Microsoft moving forward. Microsoft's about to...
Tapi kalau aku pun aku lagi pilih SteamOS lah. Sebab Steam sendiri game dah banyak kan.
Ya, orang banyak tu lah, banyak stay dekat Steam kan.
Macam kau cakap lah, kalau kau nak install macam-macam, better kau beli laptop ke.
Ya, kalau nak buat kerja ke apa kan. Sebab kadang aku ada dengar juga tau, macam orang beli handheld PC ni, macam yang guna Windows lah kan, apa ROG Ally ke Legion Go ke kan, dia nak buat untuk kerja juga. So macam sebab dia two in one lah, macam nak merasa pegang handheld gaming tu dan dalam masa sama dia nak guna untuk buat kerja, which tak salah lah kan.
Tapi aku rasa macam aku rasa macam SteamOS lagi meet the purpose untuk gaming sendiri lah.
Ya.
Sebab pada aku lah, kalau pandangan aku tak game lah, macam kau nak kerja lah benda kan. So better laptop lah. Personally lah. Kan? Macam
yelah, faham.
Faham lah. Macam aku lah, kalau aku yang tak tahu benda ni, aku pilih SteamOS lah. Buka tu main kan. Nampak semua
Aku tengok Legion Go tu kan. Aku rasa macam tempted saya. Tempted saya nak beli.
Aku pun macam geram lah.
Sebab dia boleh main 60 FPS tu. PlayStation 5 pun tak boleh
Ya, sebab dia kalau handheld tu screen yang kecil tu kau boleh dapat 60. Lawa gambar dia.
Lawa. Dapat 60 FPS. Lepas tu kau tak payah pun ambil Full HD. Kau ambil 720 pun dah lawa sebenarnya sebab screen kecil kan.
Betul.
Dia kata 720 lah. 480 480
pada aku macam SteamOS ni penyelesaian pada orang yang ada PC gaming tapi macam bila ada occasion apa-apa kena jalan jauh je macam malas nak pergi lah. So SteamOS ni dia boleh go pub. Tak apa, SteamOS ada.
Aku seriously terbayang macam balik kampung kan. Ada Legion Go macam shot saya.
Dia bukan pengganti kepada PC gaming lah.
Kan.
Dia macam kalau dia orang ada PC gaming, kau nak second device untuk gaming kan. Okay. kau nak laptop ke kau nak SteamOS atau handheld kan. So instead of laptop semata-mata untuk gaming saja, baik kau ambil handheld yang guna SteamOS ni untuk fokus kat gaming saja kan. Sebab kau dah ada PC kan, PC kau boleh buat anything lah, kerja ke apa lah kan. Macam tu lah.
Betul lah tu.
Yalah, maksudnya kalau kau travel ke mana pun kau dah tak adalah fikir macam aduh minggu depan nak kena travel pula, minggu ni nak minggu depan dah lah reset baru nak kena buat daily kan. So ada SteamOS ni balik kampung. Curi masa sikit.
Lepas tu
Cloud atau ada cloud save kan, Steam cloud save kan.
Senang.
Tak payah bayar kan. Tak payah bayar tiap bulan kan.
PS
Ada tournament FIFA ke, Selasa tak adalah bagi alasan kerja ke kat kampung ke kan.
Ini cloud save pun nak kena bayar. Oops.
Online multiplayer pun tak payah kena bayar.
Kan, aku tak sure lah kenapa kena bayar cik.
Itu kalau topik tu perlu satu video yang khas lah untuk kita bincangkan.
Mesti aku kena kecam lah.
Kau rasa menarik lah. Kita tengok sekarang ni nampaknya third party brand yang dah run SteamOS adalah Legion Go S. So menarik lah kita tengok macam mana dia run dekat ROG Ally pula ke, dia run dekat apa lagi MSI Claw, dan mungkin ada brand-brand lain yang nak jump juga dengan handheld ni juga. So menarik lah kita tengok macam mana adakah performance dekat brand-brand lain akan better daripada Legion Go ni, Legion Go S ni kan. Sebab Legion Go S ni dia masih yang orang cakap low tier punya Legion Go lah. Sebab dia ada Legion Go aku tak ingat, dah lupa dah Legion Go. Dia hardware dia lagi power lah daripada Legion Go S ni. So menarik lah kalau kita nak tengok.
Lepas tu banyak game pun dah banyak developer yang macam push nak dapat dapat deck verified punya certification kan.
Dia ada
macam lagi menarik.
Dia ada 3 tier kan kalau yang verification tu kan. Satu yang warna hijau, satu warna
kuning
ke orange ke apa tu kan. So yang hijau tu yang paling approve lah kan.
Itu memang approve lah. Menarik lah.
Okay guys, setakat ini saja perkongsian kita mengenai SteamOS yang berada di Legion S. So apa pendapat korang? Korang tertarik ke? Kalau ada apa-apa sebarang komen, boleh share dengan kita orang di ruangan komen. Dan macam biasa guys, jangan lupa subscribe dan like. Teruskan menonton Jom Gaming.